Seven, six, five, four, three, two, one, zero.
Hello and good evening, good day, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the 12th dimension, where I'm joined by Wes G. Roberts and Leslie Mitchell Clarke for our part 2. Leslie can only stay for the first half because she's got prearranged appointments for the second half. Wes will be sticking with us throughout, but there may be technical difficulties. We're in the middle of having our utility meters changed over, and the guy's coming round tonight anytime in the next 2-3 hours. So if he does, I will have to switch on to my mobile, and then there'll be no break, no outro. So we'll just have to roll with it and see what happens. So that's the crappy bit out of the way. Welcome. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for having us. And boy, are you in like a Templar grotto over there? Where are you, Andy?
Well, we've no gas. The gas is actually off at the minute, so we're waiting for them to cook. So this is why I've got like 10 layers on. And then I'm hoping when they do turn up, they do the gas first and the electric after.
One hopes.
Yeah, if not, got me phone.
The show must go on. My goodness.
The show must go on.
I might be sat in pitch black, but you'll hear me voice.
Yeah. He's got like 12 chorus girls from Ipswich waiting to come in. So we'll.
if only. That would be nice. I think that's a different type of show, though, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's a show whose time may have come. We don't know.
You never know.
Popular entertainment and metaphysics all rolled into one.
Yeah. What more could you want?
I
So
know.
what we're going to do, I took screenshots of the questions that we had from the last time you guys were on. So if you want, like we're saying in the chat, if you want to carry on doing them.
Yes.
I just
perfect.
need to this is where it all goes wrong because I don't know what folder I've put them in.
Yes, live broadcast.
I love it. It's very exciting, like the 50s, like the Texaco Star Theater.
It's right. I found them. Right. I just need
you're
to
already doing better.
ones.
You're already doing better than the Beeb on any given night. So. And the CBC too. In fact, you can't tell the difference.
No. Oh, right. So hopefully Ryan is doing what he's supposed to be doing, but it doesn't look like he is. So he'll be getting a slap wrist after. Right. So, questions.
Mm-hmm.
Are we ready?
Ready.
So, this was one from Space Cadet Lottie. Has Wes had a past life in Atlantean times? Do you know?
So Lesley can also speak to this after me. I done limited past life regression.
Yeah.
The most important one of which was an interlife regression. As far as I know, not Atlantean, but interesting point. My partner's most likely from there. Lesley
right.
knows my partner as well, Anna. So Anna's most likely quite Atlantean, even in modern day appearance.
Oh yeah.
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 Wow.
Actually, I don't think she would mind me discussing this at all because she's so open and wonderful. But I did do a past life regression, or several actually, for Anna, and she went back to an Atlantean lifetime, not too far from the end times of Atlantis. In other words, they'd already had some volcanic or meteoric experiences.
Yeah.
Things were already looking pretty funky, but and in that life she described meeting Wes, and that he was a kind of a refugee from some part of the Atlantean network, which was a multiracial kind of widespread civilization with all different kinds of people in it. But he had been involved in some kind of accident and got washed up on the beach. And
Oh.
she saved him because she was, of course, a priestess and a healer and such. And that was an incarnation where they stayed together and were deeply involved in that incarnation. So I guess I had a little more. She never told you about that, eh?
Not that last part. So it makes sense in modern times, like today. It makes sense.
It does, doesn't it? As Sigmund Freud would say, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're learning something new, as.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Next question is from Rick Allen. What do the guests believe is the ultimate goal of reincarnation?
What do the guests believe? The guests, meaning us.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Forgive me.
Sorry.
What's wrong with me?
I should have reworded it.
Oh, man.
It's been
Anyway,
a long time. Don't worry.
I talked about the beam and I turned into a dolt. That's what happened. But
so go ahead, Lesley, and I'll take it. I'll kick in after you.
I believe, first of all, it is a universe of free will. Now, I know that there are some religions, and bear in mind that reincarnation was at one time a part of all the world's religions, including the Abrahamic religions. So it was at one time an idea that was accepted by pretty much everyone. And I think we have to, and I'm an Irish Catholic girl, but I think we have to, point the finger at the Catholic Church in stamping out the widespread belief in reincarnation. They just deleted it from the canon, so to speak. My personal feeling is that there are souls that never incarnate physically in the third density the way we are. They prefer to progress in light matter. Now, the only issue with that is it takes longer, and it's another kind of a process. But those of us that are here, including you, Andy, we are here because we are able to operate in physical experience.
Yeah.
And so I would say most of the people that we associate with, and yourself, Andy, in this work, we've all had unlimited incarnations, so many that, you could research forever. Many of the people that come on our little show, Contact TV, are experiencers. So they may have had incarnations on other planets, which is always fascinating. So, and I believe that we make a conscious choice to come into this physical reality or not. And right now there are so many of us here because this is the these are the times when we have a choice to move ahead into the fifth dimension and become responsible, loving neighbors and human beings,
Yeah.
or we have the choice to go down, to go down the loo, essentially with violence and regressive thinking. So there are many of us who are here, and I use the term light workers. Some people say star seeds, but I just think
Yeah.
we are here by choice. In fact, the term I told you last time, the term that I like to use is midwives of disclosure.
Yeah.
We are here to birth in a new era that will be without fear and without cruelty. And if we make it,
Yeah.
we make it. So I have, of course, in learning the process of past life regression, I've been regressed many, 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 many times. So I have no question that what I have recounted in those sessions are viable, actual lifetimes. In fact, if anyone out there is interested, my mentor, teacher, the wonderful Georgina Cannon, not related to Dolores Cannon, but equally wonderful.
Yeah.
The CBC, believe it or not, produced a series some years ago called Past Life Regression.
Right.
And Georgina was the hypnotherapist that facilitated all those regressions. Now, what they did is they got a bunch of people. Georgina did God knows how many regressions. And out of that, maybe 30 of them were viable. And then they cut it down some more until they finally found, I believe it was 4 or 5, that were not only good television, but that it was possible these lives were not so ancient that they couldn't find corroborating evidence.
Ah.
So it's about 4 different individuals. One is a beautiful girl who was an Asian spice seller in Nepal, and I mean, and one of them is about a guy who had a couple lives. He was a gangster in Chicago, and then a seminary student in oh God, what is the famous in Ireland, in Dublin, the famous religious school?
Trinity.
Pardon me?
Trinity.
Exactly. So it's a fascinating, because you see enough of the regression to make it really interesting. And then there's all this supportive evidence. They actually send a gal who's like a reporter, investigator, to look after evidence of these past lives. So I would recommend watching that. And it's on YouTube.
Ooh,
You can
even
just
better.
see it. It's called Past Life Investigation. And it was produced by the CBC, and and Dr. Georgina Cannon is the not the hostess, but she facilitated all the regressions.
Right.
So, did you want to jump in, Andy, or you want me to give my take?
Be my guest.
Okay.
Literally.
I've sort of raised myself to believe and hung with enough people to believe the spirit is eternal.
Yeah.
And so I have no problems with that. No problems.
Sorry,
with
just
thought.
1 second.
Yep.
It's going off in 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
For about 20 to 25 minutes.
Right, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, just got an update from my secretary.
Oh,
Okay.
your inner office secretary.
Yeah.
Well, you cut us off when you need to. It's fine. So spirit is eternal. I have no great concerns about my own physical demise. So be it. Happens to us all. But conventionally, I subscribe to the fact, I call it, of reincarnation. Magically, it's a different story. I have a great magician friend who introduced a term he calls remanifestation.
Yeah.
So remanifestation is a different thing. It's you calling forth in this lifetime principles and skills and abilities you had in former lifetimes. So it's not so much that you're reincarnating as a different person, but you're bringing into this life something that you possessed before. And it's called remanifestation.
Right. Yep. Got you.
I think we do. I think we just haven't all learned how to access it yet.
No.
I think because I think all of it is external to the physical body and travels with the soul, including information and training and what have you. Wes, I was just recalling when I, excuse me, facilitated an interlife regression for you,
Hmm.
I remember the details of the most recent life that you lived that we had to travel to experience the interlife. Do you recall?
I was asked that question recently. It seems to me, if I recall correctly, I was a soldier, and I was looking out a window when I died. But you can certainly refresh my memory.
I think that that was indeed a memory, but for interlife regression, you have to go to the most recent lifetime
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
someone lived in order to get that clean access to the interlife. So I recall that you were you were a kind of a smithy, a blacksmith, and there was no wife in the picture, but you had a son.
Oh yeah, right.
And I described where you lived, and you lived near the railroad tracks, and you described the whole thing to me.
Oh,
But
that brings it back.
it was kind of a sad life because you were
Yes.
lonely, and you were concerned about leaving your son when you did die. So it was probably before 1900, but like right around the turn of the last century, smack dab in the middle of the Victorian era.
It was actually freaky for me, I have to add in, to experience death. So it didn't
Yeah,
last long, but long
no,
enough that the transition was noted.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
do
Well,
you?
it's a
So I was
shift.
just going to say.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
Andy.
sorry.
Go
Go
ahead.
on. No, it's okay. Carry on.
All I was going to say is it's a shift in consciousness.
Mhm.
That's all it is. It is just,
Yeah.
transitioning is just a shift in consciousness that happens naturally, whether we're
Mhm.
coming into a dense physicality or whether we're exiting it. It's very
Right.
Yeah.
similar, actually. It's a very similar kind of the awakening that a soul has when they enter a physical body is really a lot like what they experience when they exit a physical body that no longer works.
Sure.
Right. So
Mhm.
do you, Wes? Do you recall the moment that you died?
Based on this experience Lesley was just talking about, yes. Yeah, I was lonely. I was looking out a window. I
Yeah.
knew that my time was up. I wasn't afraid. I was just how would I put this? I was saddened and disappointed. It's like it didn't have to go this way. Of course, it
Yeah.
did. It did
Yeah.
have to go that way. But then right after that, right after the transition, which is just like a period of missing time, it's
Yeah.
blackness. I was sitting with the council and going over what's next.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
that's what happens. We all have a commonality. All human beings, not just human beings, but other species in our neighborhood
Yeah.
that are in our same soul group, of which there are many. We have these lives to learn, and
Yeah.
sometimes one of the hardest. It was Georgina Cannon that told me this. One of the hardest um, assignments that a soul can have is if they come in to be a negative influence to make something happen that will be
Right.
a learning experience for another individual. In other words, everybody's in on it on the astral level, but
Yeah.
somebody comes in and they are a total asshole. Pardon me. And with the reason of, either showing somebody else how not to be. It could be anything. So things are often, it's just the idea of karma, of doing a bad thing and then coming back next time as a cockroach. That's just very simplistic. It doesn't work like that. And I am not convinced that we incarnate back into the bodies of animals unless we really want to for some
Yeah.
specific reason. I think it's possible, but I don't think it's very common. Most animal species incarnate within their own phylums, you know.
Yeah. No. 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 Thank you. Right. Right. So next question then is from. So I'm just trying to find it. So this one's from Space Cadet Lottie. This is for Wes. Is Wes aware if he has any positive etheric implants.
Etheric implants. So
Etheric implants.
Etheric,
yeah.
eth-
So that's a possibility because I'm not aware of having any physical implants.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So an etheric implant is definitely possible. I mean, we've met folks that have had implants, and I've never thought I did because I've never thought that's necessary for them to track me. I don't
Right.
think they need electronics
No.
or anything else. But psychic implants, but this is the level they work at.
Yeah.
So they happen, I think. I sort of think of implants really as step-up transformers in a
Right.
sense. Maybe a bit like training wheels, something to help us, to stimulate us, because many of us are coming in with pineal glands that are not as developed as they should be. So there's some catch-up work, I think, to be done. But I have worked with experiencers who have told
Yeah.
me about implants that are in their auras,
Mhm.
in
Oh,
their
right.
literally in their etheric bodies. So the implants are not solidly physical. They're working on our psychophysical body somehow. So I also think there are implants that are crude, that are no doubt the result of our combined secret space program, because Britain and Canada and the US are all in bed together with all of this.
Yeah.
For sure. So, I mean, Bentwaters, they were deeply involved with storing U.S. nuclear material. It's all we're all together in this, and there is, in fact, I don't think any of us can dispute at this point that there is an organized, massive, black ops secret space program that first came into existence in the 1950s with the Truman Agreement, and they have reverse engineered stuff. So I think there are also crude implants that do go right into the body, and those are the kinds of things that Dr. Lear was working with extensively. The kind of things that will run. You can't catch them, or that as soon as they're exposed to air, they dissolve, so you can't tell what they are. So and I don't get so much of that anymore.
Right.
So I have to wonder how common an experience it is for the experiencers of today, rather than people who had their experiences in the Betty and Barney Hill era. I think there are, the Zeta Reticulites just ran roughshod and did what they wanted because they had an agreement with all of us. So it's difficult to say, but as far as an implant being needed to find anyone, I mean, we all have a unique brain signature, and I'd say upwards. Wes, would you say upwards of 80%, 90% of the beings that we ever hear about or are discussed are fully telepathic? They can
easy.
they can speak, verbally, orally, if they wish. Many of them, but what's faster than the speed of thought?
And doesn't need translation.
No translation, because it all somehow they know how to utilize your own symbology, your own. I would have to put it. They know what means what to you. And I've just it's remarkable. But we can all do it. We're not lesser beings. We just have to bloody wake up.
Yeah. So do you think they know what do you think that they know what your thought is before you think it?
I've had this experience with them and with my guides. I believe in personal guides. And so the reason I say this is, and this is my trademark understanding of how it works. They answer my question before I can complete it.
Yeah.
And that's how I think, okay, you've got this. So whether it's my guides or alien beings, it's like, can you let me articulate this first? And it's like, no, we already heard it before you even thought the thing out.
Yeah.
So here's your answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're so fast that
Oh, yeah.
sometimes in session with Wes, and he's under and he's talking to his beings, and I'm getting ready to formulate a question, they
Yeah.
pick it right out of my brain and
Mhm.
answer it through Wes before I even have a chance to ask it. So, I mean, the power, the speed of thought is instantaneous. We just have to believe that it is and accept that it is, right? That's we're the masters of limitation, as Bashar
John said.
says. Yeah.
Right. I'm sorry. I'm just going to switch to my phone ready because the electric apparently is going to be going off any minute now. So what I'll do, we'll come back to the questions that I've got left from last time once the electric comes back on. But I'll do a couple of questions from tonight. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Sure, of course.
Open.
Right, so
open for it.
That's not even a question. Right. So the first one is from Rick Allen, and he would like to know, do you guys believe that there is a God within reincarnation?
Wes?
Sure. Why not? I'm not a conventionally religious person. This does not dismiss the idea of God. I feel that a great number of the global population believes there is a God, and because of that, yes, there is a God. So that's just my own take on it. But within reincarnation, I'd say if you follow that down the rabbit hole, yes, I don't see any reason why not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing does not contradict the other at all. Mm-hmm. And, I believe that there is a creative force of the universe. I believe that it is neither male or female, and I don't think it's anthropomorphic in the sense that it is concerned with little things that we do. But I do think that that we can plug into source. We can plug in to the divine.
Yeah.
And people do it. It's something you learn how to do. I think maybe in the act of creation, not unlike the Hadron Collider or whatever, I think we were created out of the creative mind, if you will, of some type of being that we are not really able to comprehend.
No.
Good question. My goodness.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a few more like that.
Right. Your guests are very astute. They are
all the time.
This works.
I can't even read half the words that they write, let alone understand what they're saying. Right. So this one's from Rick Allen again. He'd like to know, is there an average number of lives a person experiences?
Gosh, Rick's got to have a chat with us one day. I'm going to jump in and say only speculative, that the speculation is anywhere from a handful to a few hundred. This is what I have heard and what I have read. Speaking only for myself, I'm not coming back. I do not want to come back here. So if I have anything to do with it, higher powers or not, I'm going to say I'd rather not. Can I move forward in my evolution? But that's just my own feeling.
Yeah, you want to go to the next level.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And let's see. I'm sorry. Well, I was spacing out there. I was thinking about God concepts, and I went crazy. What was it? What was your question again, Andy? What was the question? It was an average number of lives. It's wildly different, but I rarely have the opportunity to work with someone and investigate a lot of their lives. Most people come, for a past life regression session, and I do my best to lead them through 3. Hello?
Hi there.
Hello?
We have another guest.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Right, sorry about this. All right, I'm just going to put it on. Can you hear me now?
Still,
Yes.
yeah.
All right, there we go. Right, so I'm back, but this is this is as good as it gets for now.
This is
So
absolutely
sorry,
good.
if you'd like to carry on with what you were saying.
I was just saying that, the question was about, is there an average number of past lives that people have? And I was just expressing that it's wildly individual. And then of course people can
Yeah,
come back quickly. Now I have heard that negative people who can't ascend because of their choices tend to go in and out like a revolving door. They'll come back.
right.
In other words, somebody who was a murderer or a pedophile or whatever, they're often
Yeah,
so afraid of judgment, or they're so inveigled with their physical activities, the earthly
yeah,
activities, that they won't leave, and they can come in, they can have innumerable lives because they come in and come in and come in and come in until hopefully at some point somebody gets to them and they have some kind of awareness. And there are beings all the time that are trying to help these people, but unless they'll
yeah.
listen, it's just like on the physical plane. If they won't listen until they're
That's
ready
it.
to make
You
changes,
can only do
nothing can
so
happen.
much.
Yeah, you can only do
Yeah,
so much. So I would say that, and then I was explaining, when someone comes to me for a past life regression, I rarely have a chance to, meet with them a bunch of times. Usually I see them maybe once, and I try my very best to lead the client through 3 past lives.
yeah,
And, that's not always possible. It kind of depends on how detailed the individual is in their explanations of their environment. And if people are real verbal processors, you can get an
yeah,
awful lot of information. And it's only really, now there are varying points of view, but I don't feel it's a very good idea, very healthy, to keep anybody in a deep trance of that nature over an hour. So
yeah,
that's my limit. But it's a long induction, to get people to, especially if they've never been hypnotized before, if they don't really know where to go. The induction itself is about a half hour. That's what it takes
yeah.
to get people
Suppose
into
it could be
the.
quite scary.
Well, hopefully,
Yeah,
I am able to relieve people's fears. And what is, I think, very important, and all qualified regressionists should do this. If someone is experiencing something negative or frightening or painful in their regression, as soon
yeah,
as I get a whiff of that, I turn them into an observer so that they
right.
can see what's going on and still process it, because these things still must be processed, but they don't need to be processed in a way where you're re-experiencing them physically. You can
Right.
process them by looking at them and understanding them. So
Yeah,
so I make it clear to the people that come, because everybody is very afraid of that. They say, what if something, I experienced something horrible, or what if it's a painful death? So once I reassure people that they're not going to be allowed to feel any physical or emotional pain, they usually settle down, and without
yeah,
fear, well, Wes would be, I think that I maybe inspire trust, I hope. So
yeah,
Wes can speak to that better than I can.
Sure, absolutely. I'm going to say, for anyone that's hedging, doesn't want to do this, take the leap, man, because I got quite hooked on it. And I don't mean in the way people would think I got hooked on it. Not because
yeah,
it's not an attention thing. I got hooked on it because it was so meditative, so relaxing, such an interesting experience to get in theta state, that
yeah,
I was just hovering. And, while I'm hovering, it's like, yeah, I can hear and see everything. I can answer questions. I can interact with Lesley. But I totally always look forward to it. And part of that's voice and tempo and a whole number of other things, the words that she uses. But I quite liked it.
Yeah. So
It
how
should
was you?
be pleasurable. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just going to ask Wes, how was you feeling knowing that you're going to go and have the regression done, the build up to it? What were your emotions like?
So the first one was difficult because I didn't know what to expect. And I think that's normal. And that's why a good hypnotherapist will do a triage, and check with you and see what kind of a personality you are and all that kind of thing. But after the first one, the only anxiousness I had was about uncovering things that might be unpleasant. Having said that, Andy, I would say, I've said this before, 90% of my experiences were pleasant, productive, life-changing in a good way. But yeah, I get a little anxious about some, but then I was like right in the chair. Maybe Lesley didn't have to spend as long taking me down as she might with other people.
I just did it to de-stress you after a while because of your hectic life as an educator. I could have gotten you in 30 seconds, but I could have gotten you in 30 seconds, but I was so concerned about your head blowing off, from what those students were doing to you every damn day. That's
multiple times.
Multiple times your cranium going, boop, so so I always took my time. It was supposed to be, that's part of the therapy too. That's why I'm a hypnotherapist, because the concern is for the well-being, unlike a stage hypnotist who is really, there's so much trickery in stage hypnosis. We could do a whole show on that. I'll tell you all about it.
Yeah.
But suffice it to say, oh yeah?
Yeah. In Cyprus, of all places. So,
really?
And how'd that go?
I remember everything. That went on. I'm not gonna share any of it because it's quite embarrassing. But some of it was, at first, at the beginning, I was thinking, am I just doing it because he's saying, and it's like I'm doing it for the sake of doing it? Then as it was like about 20 minutes, half an hour into it, it's like I have no control now of what I'm doing. I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
There's one point where I was dancing with this guy, and he says, when the music stops, you're going to stop dancing. You're going to be looking at each other like, what's going on? Then on the last bit of it, it's like, when it stops, you're not going to be able to let go of each other. And it felt like I was glued to him.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just.
Well, that gluing thing,
it went on from there.
Yeah. And so, we call that sticky fingers. That's a really easy thing to do to the human in hypnosis. But let me ask you this. When you were, wherever this occurred, when you walked into the performance space, did you shake the hand of the guy who was the hypnotist or the gal?
To be honest, I couldn't tell you.
You remember? Okay. Well, I can tell you that you did.
Possibly.
Yeah, you did.
I'd say there's more chance that I did than didn't.
That's part of it. That's where the hypnosis began.
Right. Because he was doing the bit where he taps you on the shoulder and...
Yeah.
Because I think there was 23 of us in total, and he actually said only 2 in 11 people can actually be hypnotized. If you fight it, it's not going to happen. You need to allow it to come in. So I don't know how true he was being with all that.
Well, he was using, if you're talking about shoulder taps, he was using a lot of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which is designed to get people in and out of hypno quickly. In fact, we even call it waking hypnosis. And I'm a master in that too. And I use it in treatment, but only for therapeutic purposes, particularly breaking habits. If people are having drug issues, particularly major habits that have to be broken right away, I use those kind of techniques. But they're very, there's always been a lot of talk that kind of hypnosis was, putrefied and used by the government. In fact, there's footage in the, there's filmed footage of the assassination of Robert Kennedy. Remember, Kennedy's younger brother. It happened in a hotel kitchen. And the guy that allegedly, did the shooting, Sirhan, you can see a woman giving him a tap on one of his shoulders, because to this day, the man has no memory of it. He was a dishwasher, no memory of any of this happening.
So that's like the trigger. That's trigger words, isn't it? A trigger movements.
It was a trigger. That was a trigger. And again, for somebody to go against their moral ethical code, this is not hypnosis as I understand it, because we are taught, people will not do anything or can't be made to do anything that is against their moral, spiritual, ethical code. They just will not. But in this case, I would suspect that it was some kind of a rogue version of hypnosis, possibly involving some kind of chemicals, who knows? But it wasn't hypnotherapy as we know it.
No, well, it's like when they did it, I think it's about an hour and a half, could have been longer. Then I was fine. I didn't have any. There's no like repercussions or comeback from anything. Didn't feel ill or There's nothing. No one clapped and I started running around and throwing my clothes off or anything like that. There's none of that going on. Which I know it can be done. So sorry, the electric's just come back on, so I'm going to jump back on the computer and come off here. Be one second.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
And that is amazing to manage the show like this. Is crazy good.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Yeah.
Now we're back in the Knight Templar grotto. Okay.
Right. Oh, that light was too bright. I've actually got a ring light with a USB. I've got a battery pack plugged into. So I knew the electric was going to go off, so I thought I'll just plug it in that. So when it does go, I'm not fumbling around looking for wires in the dark.
God, nothing worse than that, eh?
Oh, tell me about it.
That is bad. It's a snake pit down there, I'm sure.
No, it's not even. Yeah, it's probably worse. A snake pit is probably more organised than what I've got going on.
Indiana
Jones.
That's right. I hate snakes. Boy, I just watched the other day. I have a pristine copy of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I thought, man, what a great bloody movie. And analog. I mean, anything that happened, special effects wise, was either physically done by stunt people, or they were using their early, not early, the analog techniques like matte paintings, moving mats, traveling mats, animation. I think there's quite a bit of animation in that very dramatic scene where the ancient
face melting
Hebrew ghosts pop out of the thing.
There was no green screen or anything, was there?
No, because green screen is digital. It's keying out. There was something called chroma key, which was an early predecessor of green screen. I was a tour guide at Universal Studios, so I can tell you all about this.
No, so in my intro, the intro at the beginning, I actually used chroma key in some of the transition things.
Really? Oh my!
Oh, that's awesome.
Work out. Sorry?
It's awesome. I love the intro.
Oh God, it scared the bejesus out of me. It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Scare everyone. They'll come back from more.
But see, we need some dancers. That's the whole thing. Some kind of cabaret thing.
Next, I'll add it to my list. No, thank you. Right. Do you want to do another couple of questions?
Sure. I've got 10 minutos here. It's 3:18 our time. Okay.
So I'll just find because obviously, because Wesley's staying on, I'll see if there's any for you, Lesley.
Okie dokie.
Right. So this is from Warren Hardcastle. These are the questions from last time for those that have just come in. What are your thoughts on Corey Good and his experiences of the 20 and Back program?
That's a good question. I'm not a fan of Corey Good. However, I completely concur with the 20 and Back. And Captain Randy Kramer is a very good friend. I believe him implicitly. Corey Good I know he's had a lot of criticism, and one of the things about his stories that strike me as unusual is in all the work I've done with experiencers and you name it, I have almost never heard about beings called the Blue Avians who are in there as a part of the official accepted species by our government. I have really never heard about beings like that. Not to say that they don't exist, but it seems odd that in the wide swath of people that I have treated, and remember, I was part of Kathleen Martin's experiencer research project for MUFON.
Right, okay.
So I saw an awful lot of people, and I've heard about all kinds of strange hybrid beings, some aquatic, but I have never heard about the Blue Avians. And there are other things too. There's kind of a business thing too. Corey Good made everybody cringe because he tried to copyright the name Secret Space Program for his own use. And so I look at him with a fairly jaundiced eye. The jaundiced eye would be that one. Like that, like Popeye.
Yeah, a bit like Columbo.
Oh yeah, even better. Peter Falk and his fake eye. Yes. That's true. More like one thing that's been bothering me.
You've not got a big Raymac, have you?
No, I do have one that looks like that though. It's downstairs. It's in the I have a Mac. Oh, maybe it's a bit more like Vera. I think I should toss it. I think I should toss it out. I think it's seen better days.
Oh, keep it. They're the best. Oh, right. Sorry, I'm just looking for another question for Lesley before. No, I've only got ones for Wes on there, or I've already asked him. So I'll just jump in. So this one's from Rick again. Lesley, are residual memories the same as memories that arise through regression?
Well, I believe so. Now, usually when someone comes to see me, a few different things have happened, but one of the things that I look for, or that I require actually, is at least a partially recalled memory.
Yeah.
So very often, someone will come to me and they'll say, well, I had this dream, then there were some rabbits out in the yard and blah, blah, blah. But when we get in there, any of the, shall we say, any of the staging, any of the screen memories that may have been placed usually dissolve. So something that seems like some benign thing with teddy bears or whatever may turn entirely into something else. A good example of that is I was working with an experiencer who's a college professor like Wes, and he recalled returning from an experience that his whole family had in Quebec, the French part of Canada, and they were all returning from holiday. And all of a sudden, and there were a lot of kids. They were like, we used to we used to travel with no seatbelts. You know, when I was a kid, no seatbelts. Cram as many kids in as you can. Your dad's smoking. You know, the windows open that big. Anyway, so it was that kind of situation. A lot of kids, smoking father, and all of a sudden the father kind of goes blank, as it were. He's zoned out. He's tuned off, and he turns onto a side road. Unknown side road. These people are just driving through the countryside, and the kids all look over to their right, and they believe that they see Boy Scouts riding on bikes going up the hill. Now this is after dark, late at night. Boy Scouts on bikes going up the hill. So that turned out to be absolutely a screen memory. When we got in there, what he saw, of course, were ETs traveling up to the point where the craft had landed. And then after that, the kids were pulled out of the car, you know, and everybody, and some of them were knocked out. Some of them weren't. There was a lot of hysteria. It was extremely terrifying experience. But as far as I know, he is the only one that was able to retain any part of that memory. And and that tells me also that there were probably other experiences to explore with that individual. So in answer to your question, sometimes the remembrances are not, they are indicative or suggestive of an ET experience, but they might not be literally true when we get in there.
Right. No, thank you. Right. Do you want to stay, or do you need to get going, Lesley?
I'm
just thinking of the time.
Dear. I've got to go.
I just don't want to
so
keep
sorry.
you.
I'm
It's
so
okay. You can
sorry.
come back on again.
Okay,
You're
let's
more
do
than
this
welcome.
again. Whereabouts
definitely.
whereabouts are you in the UK?
I'm just outside London, north of London.
Great.
So,
Well, I'm going to be in London and around in June. So maybe we can somehow coordinate something.
I say let me know. I'm only 40 minutes, an hour.
Oh golly! Oh, that's
It's
fantastic.
I can jump on a train and be there in half an hour.
Oh my goodness! Maybe we could pre-record an in-depth interview, or go do something, or
definitely
do something. Is there an organization that you work with in your area, or
just me?
Just you?
Just do my own thing with friends and
okay.
other
Well,
people that are interested.
you bring your metaphysical posse, and you guys float on up the Thames, and I'll see you. I'll see you soon.
Let me know. Let me know. We can sort something out. Definitely.
We always stay in the Kensington area. That's where we'll be.
The nice part.
Well, it's where the hotels are for all the tourists. You know, it makes everything easier. So
it's just easy to get about. Yeah,
just easy to get about when you're right there at the Tube, and you know, and several pubs are within several feet. I like that.
There's enough pubs around there. Plenty. But definitely.
All righty. Okay, boys. Well, you guys take care. Thank you again for having me on. And Wes, I will see you soon. We have a martini plan that is looming. So there will be some martinis consumed in the very near future. Okay.
Will there be any memories?
Oh yes, because I'm Irish and I can drink a lot of martinis.
Oh, that's all right then.
Just residual.
They'll only be residual, and maybe not accurate.
I was going to say screen memories, but only the ones that you choose.
Screen memories.
Screen memories, right? Inaccurate screen memories. That's about it. Okay, guys.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks, Leslie.
Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, right. Fancy going drinking now. Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. I would if it wasn't a school night. Right. Right. Next question.
Sure.
So I can't. When I did the screenshot of this, didn't get who asked it, but whoever it is asking: is there one alien type that stands out from the rest?
So I'm gonna extrapolate your question asker means for me. So because there's so many types, there, 80, 100, we don't know, easily 80 to 90. But for myself, it's I'm going to say she because it's my primary contact, is either Palladian or a tall white, to the best of my knowledge. She's been with me my whole life, before this life actually, but my whole life. And I only discovered her in my first or second hypnosis session. I did not go to Lesley for that purpose.
Right.
So she is, I've seen her in her natural form, and I've seen her in all sorts of other forms,
Right.
usually through dreams and visions and hypnosis. But
Yeah.
she's, 8 foot tall and straight as a rod.
Oh, right. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the main one that stands out for you. That's
Yeah.
always with you.
Yes, Andy. There have been others. There's helpers or brown skin things.
Yeah.
I've never had a small gray. Never had one of those to my knowledge. And perhaps have had a couple of creepy ones. But they don't identify. Yeah, they don't identify themselves. They just put me through hell.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Bit negative.
Yeah, I've had. I'm gonna say. Now it's gone up a little bit because I had another recent one, but I'm going to say 6 to 10 negative experiences out of easily 70 or so that I can identify.
Right, so about 10%.
Yeah, so it's a smaller percentage, but they don't stop. And I'm not complaining. I was asked recently, did I ever say to the universe or to the aliens, stop? And no, not since I reconciled all this. I'm good. But yeah, I've had 2 or 3 experiences over the past 2 or 3 months. It just, this is not hypnosis. These are ones I remember.
So, so when you have these experiences, is it like a dream state that you go into, or is it like a physical moment?
I'm going to say a mixture. I'm going to say more psycho-physical, more etheric. I'm going to say. But not all.
Yeah.
Not when they're messing with my anatomy. Let me just say, but mostly psychic experiences, and I'm in a chances are one of several degrees of theta, because that's our deep unconscious dreaming state or meditative state. So I'm not out of it. I'm in theta, which is, commonly it's rapid eye movement stuff, right? So I'm in theta because I think it's worth mentioning, and we can go down this road if you want, but we're accessible.
Yeah.
We're real accessible in theta.
Right.
And so that's why I think
that's
it's
like our. So it's like our open state. That's when we're at our, I suppose, most vulnerable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're quite available to our alien friends, and they reach us in this state, I'm positive. And, it's not dissimilar to a deep state. It's not dissimilar to a state you can get in an isolation tank. It's not dissimilar to some other states, but yeah, they can reach in, just like, in the world of spiritualism and magic and so forth. Our dead relatives and family can reach us. And so can other people if they want to. If they want to do nasty stuff, they can reach us too.
Yeah. No, I can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Do one more question before we have a break. Is that okay?
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So this one is from Space Cadet. I don't think she's in tonight. She'd like to know, has Wes ever pinged away, blocked from a target he has honed to remote view before?
So let me rethink this with you, Andy. Have I been blocked from a target? Is it?
Yeah, pinged away, blocked from a target, use home to remote view. So you've been given the coordinations of something to remote view. Right. This is what I'm taking from this. You've gone to do it, and something's stopping you from accessing it?
Constantly, I would have to say.
Wow.
Interesting that it's such a great question, I have to say, because I've taken 2 full programs of remote viewing. That doesn't mean I know anything. I have a good friend who I'll be seeing actually this weekend, who is a military trained remote viewer.
Right.
And he's going to run a little group of which I'll be a part of. So I'm not new to any of this. But for me, there's something that we call the main gestalt, the overall target.
Right.
And this is the thing I am always blocked from. So I'll go inside of a room, I'll crawl around in a tunnel, but I don't know what building I'm in.
Right.
So I almost never get the main gestalt, which is an early part of the remote viewing process. You're supposed to nail that, and then sort of get to the fine tuning of it. But interestingly, if I might mention this friend, he's quite experienced, and he did a session with a handful of us a few years ago, and I know this will sound far out, but we went off planet. So we went to a target he's been to.
Yeah.
A target the military's been to. It's a known thing. They've identified it. They know qualities and characteristics of this place, this planet. And we went in, and we're in the presence of beings, alien beings. I cannot remember what they looked like or sounded like.
Yeah.
But because he was skeptical, they booted him out.
Ah. So because he was questioning what was going on, it's like,
I think he was being a smart ass, so it's like, get out.
Right. So he was lowering the tone, basically. So they got rid of him.
Yeah, we had a laugh about it after.
Yeah. So can you disclose the location of this other planet, or are you not allowed to say?
I'm not sure. He told us, although he knows the target. So I wish I could. It's something that we're familiar with, we being mankind.
Right. So it's something in our solar system. Yeah,
although space-time could be in any solar system.
Well, yeah. But it's a planet we know of.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I mean, I'm not going to keep questioning you because obviously you can tell me whatever you're going to tell me, and that's it. So I'm happy with that. Right. So should we go for a break? 5-minute break?
Sure. Sounds good.
Cool. Right. So I'll take us off. We'll do the break. There is a 10-second countdown. So if you do go off, once you hear the countdown, just run back.
I will.
Right. See you guys in 5.
Yeah, mate, you all right?
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And we are back. Oh, sorry about that. Ryan didn't realise that when he popped on, everyone could see and hear him. So
nice to see him.
Yeah, in his dressing gown, lovely colour. Oh, right. So shall we? Is there anything you want to add to anything, or do you want to carry on with the questions?
I think questions are fine, and yeah, I'm always down with questions. And if you want, I can relate a short experience, which obviously isn't in my books because it's new.
Yes.
So it won't last long. So just let me know when you want to hear that, or if you want to hear it.
Oh yeah, do you want to give it us now?
Sure.
Yeah, because if you do that, hopefully we'll get some more questions for that.
So I just want to assure your viewers and listeners that most of my experiences are positive.
Yeah.
That when I undertook hypnosis with Lesley, who was here with us earlier, I didn't know the length and breadth of it, so I just went as far as I could, which was 5 years worth, and about 35 sessions. And we got to a point where, we were doing some channeling. We were asking an alien I'm connected to questions, and I was feeling her, and Lesley could, let's say, psychically see her, overlay my body. It was a real interesting process. So I'm saying all this to say that it's my belief and my experience that these things will not stop. They never stopped before, and they will not stop now. And so I can expect them. And I'm good with that. I don't normally know when they're going to happen. What I do know is I'll wake up in the morning and I'll feel one of two ways: that was a really busy night, and I felt like I've been hit by a truck, and there's no excuses for it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that I'm just exhausted, and I remember what happened. Now, I routinely remember my dreams. I trained myself to do this years ago. Anybody can do it. Just takes a lot of work and a lot of waking up in the middle of the night, but you can do it.
Yes.
And it's good to do it because you're probably going to see something in there that's going to come to be, or it's going to be insightful for you. So one of my latest experiences, I think it was about a month ago. Typically, when they set the stage for an experience, they don't get everything right. They always mess up in some small little ways. So I was in a company I do not know of, a corporation, a business, and it was fairly large, and it was medical exam day. And it was like,
Right.
oh, medical exam day to see if I'm suitable to keep working here. So, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So the doctor was giving exams in the middle of the office, no screens, no separate rooms, no nothing.
Right.
And it's like, okay, alien friends, you screwed this up. This doesn't happen here. Not normally. So,
Yeah.
so my turn came up, and instead of, I didn't want to do this in public.
Yeah.
So instead of doing it in public, he took me to another room, but left the door open.
Oh.
Yeah, that's like great. There's people going back and forth looking in.
Yeah.
It's like, thanks for the privacy, man. So
Yeah. Oh, 3/4 of the way there.
so unfortunately, this was a nude examination. And it's like, okay, well, I may have little problems with the way my body looks. I'm not sure I want to be examined that way in public. So it's a bit embarrassing. And he's talking and throwing some BS questions at me, trying to get me to focus on something else. It's like bait and switch. You know, it's like, think about this thing over there, Wes, while I do weird stuff to you. And so we're just talking. And then at one point, he pulls out a spray can, just a normal little spray can, and sprays the side of my body. That's it.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, I did use my deodorant. So we know we're not talking about deodorant. So he sprayed the side of me. Within seconds, I felt deliriously stoned. And I was starting to get nauseous, and I thought, I can't maintain consciousness. I'm going to pass out.
Right.
And then the spot he sprayed me radiated outward through my whole body, and it felt like an electrical charge. It felt like somebody put a couple of battery wires on me, and I felt this electrical tingling all over.
Yeah.
And I thought, what the hell was in that spray? And I thought I was fighting unconsciousness, because then where am I at? You know, if I don't have some kind of consciousness and I can't do any pushback, then where am I at? Yeah. So I tried crawling and half running out of there with him trailing behind me. I thought, man, I'm going to pass out standing up. And so I eventually sort of got away from him, or it, in a room that seemed like a curious museum room. I can't even explain it, just artifacts and paintings that were not normal to me. And at that point, I came out of it. Yeah. And at that point, I woke up, and I wrote the whole thing down. So that's one of my most recent experiences.
Yeah. No, thank you for that.
Sure.
Thank you for sharing.
Not at all.
So, even though I know you said it is a dream, was that one of the, what you were saying before, where it's kind of like a dream, but it's real? It's physical as well as...
Yeah, the lines are blurred, Andy. The lines get seriously blurred. I haven't been on any flat-out physical abductions for a while, and the thinking is, Lesley and myself and maybe some others, that, well, after a while, there's no payoff. There's no bottom line for them after a while. I mean, how many times do they want or need to take your blood?
Well,
or, don't they have this down by now? I mean, how have we humans changed in any major way? So, decades and decades, they still have to like poke you. Yeah. So the physical stuff comes down to when, what I've discovered, when there's something unpleasant happening, that's where I modulate, I think, between psychic and physical abduction. And I didn't from that one, I didn't wake up feeling bad except headachy.
Yeah.
But from from others, I occasionally will wake up feeling violated and terrified.
Yeah. No, totally understand that. But so it's like, so after so long, they don't need you in body form. They just need like the inner you, like the soul, your consciousness. So they just connect with that, so they don't have to physically remove you or take you.
That's what they initially do anyway.
Right.
They're not connected to your body, actually. They're connected to your psyche, your spirit, your soul. But they work through your body initially. Then after a while, I'm going to have to go out on a limb and say, they don't need it.
No.
Yeah. They're connected to you psychically anyway.
Yeah. So I suppose, like you said, when you're in REM, it's easier for them to connect with you because they don't need a physical the physical matter form, whatever you want to call it. They just straight to your brain, your soul, your mind, whatever you want to call it.
I would agree with that, Andy. I'm going to say that our dream state, which is such a mysterious thing to us, may not be mysterious to them at all. It could be something they just walk in and out of, just like it's being claimed. They can walk in and out of our afterlife.
Yeah. That's mad. Just thinking about that just blows your mind. Just
it blows the fuse,
that
totally.
part alone.
Definitely.
Wow. That's just something else. That really is. Right. Where is it? Right, here we go. So here's one from Mike Wright. So he's asking, if reincarnation is true, can someone be reborn into an earlier time?
Well, Mike asks a hard question. I don't have a hard answer. I have a soft answer. My soft answer is predicated on space-time being a thing.
Yeah.
So, and through remote viewing, you're going to find that out. You can visit past, present, or future, and you can exist. And this is more trippy, and it gets into more experimental thinking. You can exist simultaneously in various states as various forms, some not human, backwards and forwards through time. So the question Mike asks, I don't see why not. I do not see why not. And there's lots of great fiction, from stuff in the Twilight Zone to the Outer Limits, right? On just this kind of thing. You know, I want to go back to a simpler time, a different existence. And so they do. They physically die to get there, but they do.
Yeah. No, it's that's just that proper messes with my head, all that.
Oh well, I'm happy about that.
In a good way, because I think it opens your way of thinking to a different pattern with stuff like that.
I tend to think so too, Andy. I tend to approach life in the way of not just what if it were possible. That's my number one thing.
Yeah.
What if it were possible? Not this cannot be possible.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll never see a ghost, will I?
Because you're closed. If you
I'm making sure I shut it out.
Closed off to it, then the chances are your chance is going to be less and less. If you're open to everything, then obviously the opportunity of something going on is going to happen more than it's not. That's what I believe, anyway.
I totally think you're right. It's like, you know, the skeptic cries about never seeing a ghost or never having an extraterrestrial experience. Is like, do you believe in those things, even the possibility? And if you change your mind, man, things are going to happen.
Yeah. But I believe it's true anyway, so and that's what I'm sticking with.
Me too.
Till I'm proved wrong.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So there we go. Right. So I'm just going through the questions because we've answered
no problem.
Right. So here's one from Blue Shift. He's asked it for both you and Lesley, but obviously I'll do it to you. Has Wes tried neuro-linguistic programming, had it done, or done it to a person?
So Lesley was on earlier, and she's trained in this. So
Yeah.
she's a trained NLP practitioner, which helps her with her hypnosis. So I've had it done on me. Yes, I'm sure, and I'm fine with it. The dark alleys it goes into, people are less fine with that. I seem to recall in Magic Circles a long time ago, somebody said, "You're doing NLP on me," and it's like, I don't even know what it is. And at the time, I did not know what it was. But if I understand it broadly, and I hope, Andy, you or someone else can straighten me out on this, if I understand it broadly, it's choosing your language and words carefully.
Right.
I mean, that's my understanding of it. So a person, give you for instance, because I know another person that's trained in this, and this person's a teacher as well.
Yeah.
And this person's a teacher in Japan, actually. Anyway, so he has problems that all teachers face, and that's getting your class to calm the hell down.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has school-age kids. I don't. I have all college students. But anyway, one of the little tricks he does, and there's lots of different tricks here, I'm thinking of a couple of them now, is instead of telling them, "You're going to do this," right? Take out your textbook and look at page 17 and type this letter on the computer. He says, "Can you do this?"
Yeah. He asks them rather than commanding them.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
Because besides just asking them, you're absolutely right. People love stepping up to a challenge, and they love pleasing people.
Yes.
So I've tried this on for size in my own class. It's like, oh, it works. It works. Can you open up Microsoft Word for me? Look at them all doing it. I have power.
Yeah. Because I suppose if you're telling someone, because I don't like being told what to do either, but if you're telling someone to do something, you've more chance of them not doing it, and then not doing anything else you ask them to do after, because you've already set that stone in place, haven't you? Yeah,
and there's protocol, especially in higher education, and it's about keeping distance. Keeping professor-student distance, which I would abolish if I could. I only do that a bit. I want to make myself accessible to my students, so I'm breaking some boundaries. When I do, it's like, oh, you're going to influence your students. No, I don't think so. I've been doing this for a long time. I just want to deliver the material I'm paid to deliver. So I've broken that distance, I feel. Well, the learning goes up. I don't think it's NLP, but it works.
Yeah. So you've noticed a difference with how you teach by doing it, by changing your structure. But how I act, my structure. I don't yell at people. I don't chew people out. I try not to pick on people. The only line that people can cross, my students cross with me, is if they're disrupting the rest of the class. That is it. Yeah, because that's the only line they can cross. Yeah. No, totally agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you for that.
Sure.
Right. Right. So this one is again from Rick Allen. Does Wes have a goal he feels he has to achieve to stop his reincarnation lives?
So if I were cheeky, I'd say to Rick, I don't want to do this anymore. That's my cheeky answer. But here's a deeper answer that might be worth something. I don't know. You meet people and you automatically think they're ancient souls.
Yes.
They're old souls. They're ancient souls. People have told me they feel that way around me, and I think that is true with me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I've got it right. In answer to Rick or you, Andy, I don't have it right. I've screwed up numerous relationships. I've made mistakes. I've been an idiot.
Yeah.
So I've done all the things that you can possibly do, and maybe more that we won't talk about.
No.
So
Yeah.
So I'm far from perfect, but my own meager understanding of me is that I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
I feel I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
I know when you reincarnate that you're not supposed to remember the past because it would influence the present.
Yes.
Like that's an obvious one, right? If I remembered my past lives, what am I doing faking my way through this one?
Exactly.
So the deal is not to remember. So I know that, but I don't have any pressing need, and I don't have any want to come back and do this stuff again. You know, my slim understanding of the afterlife is that it is limitless, and we can do what we want or need to do. You know, and there are others there who will say, "Hey, man, you have some potential." At least I'm hoping you've got some potential, boy, and I can do something with that potential. Well, that's what I want to do. You know, I want to move forward. I want to help other spirits. I want to do stuff like that. I don't want to come back here.
So do you think that's now why you're in the teaching profession on this life? Could this be the final step before you actually do move on to the, well, go up a level, whatever you want to call it?
Well, without trying to sound facetious or silly, if you're not in the teaching profession, you don't know how damn hard it is. I'm not saying other jobs aren't hard.
No, I know a couple of teachers.
See?
I would not do that job, put it that way.
And I've tried, Andy, and it's like a running joke with me. I've tried to get out of teaching numerous times.
Yeah.
Because I have a history in corporate Canada. I was in office administration. I was doing quite well, but I said goodbye to all that because I had a chance to teach daytime school. So then a few times over the past 3 decades, I thought, oh, I want to go back to the office. Oh, there's a neat opportunity over there that I want to take. I want to do this instead. It's actually been impossible. I'll either be handed more work or more lucrative work, or be told, hey, I can teach something new, or be told I'm valuable or something like that. So I've never bloody escaped.
So so every time you've gone to get out, they've gone, well, you can't go because we need you.
Even, so the pandemic started, right? As we all know. So a year before the pandemic, I said to my boss at the time, I've had enough of this, you know, I'm leaving. I think I can squeak by without this money.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lie. But anyway, I said it.
Worth a try.
It was worth a go. So they said, okay, fine. And I said, just let me skulk out of here. I literally told this to my boss, please don't tell anyone.
Yeah, just
I don't, no party, no.
Sneak out the back door sort of thing.
Yeah, took my box of pencils and snuck out. But the pandemic comes around and I've been off for about a year and I'm not teaching. And I wrote to my boss not to try and get back in. I wrote to my boss saying, you guys have to take everything online now. And I'm pretty computer illiterate. Do you want my help?
Yeah.
So I don't hear back anything for 2-3 weeks. I think, oh, well. And then I heard back saying, yeah, we could use your help, but come back to teaching. At the worst time to come back.
Well, yeah.
And I did.
Yeah. No, it's like he's one of my friends. He's an English teacher and he does like sixth form. So it's like 17, 18-year-olds.
Oh, boy.
I think he teaches English. But he was saying during lockdown, everything was like using Microsoft Teams and computer. It's like there's some like one-to-one, but most of it was like the class. But he said he would rather be in the building than doing it on screen. He'd rather be there so he can emphasize what he needs to get across to everyone. So, but I couldn't do that. Never. It's just not me.
Like your friend, right? We started to open things up last summer, and then they really opened up last fall. So it's pretty recent. But last summer I said, count me in. I'm going back to class if I can. And I did.
Yeah.
Huge difference.
Yeah. Guessing you enjoy it more.
I enjoy the contact, the communication, the eye contact, sensing the room, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You get a feel for everything, don't you?
You do. You totally do.
Yeah. No, I do get it, but like I said, it's just not for me. But yeah.
I understand. Right. I'd like to say that too, and one day I will.
Yeah. Right. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this one's from Rick. So this was again to both of you, but obviously to you. Do you have one question above all others you would like answered? So your ultimate question.
I'm gonna guess question to the aliens. Maybe I'm wrong. Is Rick live? Can he clarify or no?
Yeah, he's still in the chat. I'm thinking he means, is there a question that you want to put out there that you want the answer to above any other question that can be answered? So a question from you to whoever.
I guess like Rick and like you, Andy, there are a bunch that are in my question bucket list, right? But
yeah,
one of my big ones, and it annoys the hell out of me, is that generally speaking, all the aliens that have interacted with me have done so at their discretion, have done so on their own time, have done so whether it was convenient for me or not, whether I was having a shitty day or life or not.
Yeah.
So my one question that's not answered yet is, and I'm thinking of Dr. Stephen Greer might be one route to answering it.
Right.
Dr. Greer's CE5 protocol may be a way to get it answered, or at least to start the ball rolling. We can talk about that if you want, but why can't I request their company? Why can't I request their presence? Why can't I say to my twin who's been with me this whole life, sit yourself down on the couch, I want to talk to you.
That's it, yeah.
And it's not answered. The question's not answered. So that really dogs me.
So why do you think you haven't got the answer?
So according to transcripts of hypnosis sessions, which are memories, we don't make this stuff up. I'm not very good at this.
No. So that's is that what they've told you?
Yes.
Oh, that's a bit of a blow, isn't it?
Oh, kick in the butt. I mean, here's me, just overly confident and arrogant. I've had some psychic abilities since my teen years. So I have some psychic abilities. And I have some remote viewing abilities. And I've had lifelong experiences with these aliens. But I can't say, do you mind dropping in so we can have a chat? According to them, I'm not very good at this. I am my own worst enemy. I'm in my own way.
Right. So do you think it's the way you're asking, or how you're asking?
I love that question. I mean, if I were, and I certainly will talk about that, if I were to put it back to you, or any of your guests, how would you ask?
Well, I was actually thinking it when you said it, and I'd probably ask it exactly the same. How else would you ask?
So I'm thinking to myself, okay, obviously I'm analytical. It's the profession I chose. But besides my analytical side or my intellectual side, I have a very spiritual and psychic side. Well, apparently my analytical side is doing all the talking, and it's like not going to work. And then I set myself up. I think this is my own self-evaluation. I set myself up for failure because I think it's not going to work as well.
Right.
Because based on history, it hasn't. Yeah.
So straight away, you've put that thought process in there. So are they going to, like we were saying before, they're picking that up before you've thought about it. So it's like, well, he's not very good at this. So that kind of makes sense. Without being horrible to you, I get where they are coming from.
Yes.
So it's like, so you'd have to have that mental positivity. I suppose a bit of self-arrogance, like you said. You would have to have that to a certain level for them to believe what you're saying you're capable of doing. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. It makes total sense. And and there are other pieces to this too, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I have to have the confidence, and I have to be more law of attraction guy.
Yeah.
You know, I need to attract them to me, not order them to me. But there's also some strange stuff that's happened. When Lesley and I were doing our sessions and we did some channeling, so we were in real-time communication with my twin. They adjusted me. They adjusted the very atmosphere to reach me. And so my thinking is, and I could be mistaken, that I have to learn how to do that.
Right.
They altered my psychic, perhaps emotional, perhaps physiological makeup live in real time. And they made an extreme effort to reach me. To reach me, they had to alter those things.
So they, sorry, they changed your frequency.
My understanding of it.
Yeah.
They changed my frequency and the frequency of the room.
Yeah.
And Lesley can attest to this. She was sitting there. For instance, the room got extremely hot.
Yeah.
I mean, she was sweating bullets.
Wow.
So the room got real hot. I felt somewhat nauseous. I felt as if I were swaying from side to side in the hypnosis chair.
Yeah.
That wasn't true. I felt hot. I felt motion. So my understanding is that they had to alter some conditions to make this work. And so that's them fully extending themselves. And now my thinking is they're asking me to figure out how to do that.
Right. So they've done it, and it's like, this is what you need to learn to do.
I think so.
Once you master this, then we can move on to the next step.
I think so, Andy. And then so I approach this. I meditate almost every night before I go to sleep, and it's like, okay, I'm going to ask nice.
Yeah. Please. Thank you.
But please, I'll make you a drink, whatever you want.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be nice. Okay, I'm going to go sleep. Then you can do it then, so I won't know that you did it. I'm going to demand that you come here. I'm going to plead with you to come here. None of it works. No. So I've got to learn probably how to chill and do a little self-transformation and self-meditation to allow this to work. That's what I think.
Yeah. Have you tried like the binaural beats and the meditation sounds and different frequencies?
Decades.
You've done all that. Yeah.
It's fantastic. God, we could do a show on Hemisync. On Robert Monroe's life. Wow. Incredible stuff. So I have a drawer full of it. A drawer full of Hemisync CDs.
Yeah.
It's helpful because it gets you to theta.
Yes. Well, I've only recently started listening to him. I listen to a lot of them on YouTube Music, and I just put them on at night, like when I go to bed, and within a minute, I'm asleep. Depending which one I'm listening to. If I'm doing like the sleeping one and the relaxation, straight away gone. But then, so I do start doing a lot like pendulum stuff.
Oh yeah.
So when I do that, I do the meditation. I think it's 440 hertz. I can't remember the exact number, but I've not told anyone because I only started doing it a couple of weeks ago. I kind of like going to asleep, but I'm not asleep. I'm awake, but I don't. It's so hard to explain. It's like it feels like I'm going. It feels like I'm going to fall asleep, but I know I'm awake all the way through it. And it might only last a couple of minutes, but it feels like I've been there for hours.
That's a total altered state.
Yeah.
Robert Monroe and the Monroe Institute have this famous saying, body asleep, mind awake.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it felt like. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm not good at describing stuff, but yeah, that's what it felt like.
So yeah, I totally get this, right? You're in a state of self-hypnosis, basically.
Yeah.
An altered state. And in fact, Lesley would tell you all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. You have to agree to it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But Monroe and the Institute have a gazillion programs, and they're really pricey, I will just say. But the CDs, the binaural beats, as MP3s or however you want them, are not that expensive.
No.
So they start from the premise, and I'm not doing this for you, Andy, because I think you know already, but for your viewers' sake, they start from the premise that we're in level 1 or focus level 1, which is this reality, as we call it, this level of wakefulness. And they take you through focus levels, is what they call it.
Yeah.
And the stuff you're listening to sounds to me like at least focus 10.
Right.
Because focus 10 is mind awake, body asleep.
Right. Well, sorry, I was just going to say, because I didn't know where to start or anything like that, because there's no instructions with it, really. It's just you have the different frequencies for different mind states. So I just thought, right, I'll choose that one for this and that one for sleeping and so on and so on. So I kind of like, as always, just threw myself in at the deep end. And it kind of worked. So I'm sat where I am now. Obviously, this is like my computer desk. So I'll sit there, get the chart and the pendulum and that. And so I have the pendulum in my hand, I rest it on my head, with my head tipped forward, elbows on the table. And then I just go. And it's just nice level. I usually do it when there's no one else about, like everyone's at work or school or whatever. So if I get an hour on my own, I'll just sit there and just go into this. I don't even know what you call it. Some dream state. I don't know. Really don't know.
It's a blissful state most of the time.
But then when I come back, because obviously you have to come back out of it yourself.
Yeah.
I've never struggled coming back out of it, but the first time I was coming out, it's like when you've had a few beers and you've been asleep and you wake up, it was like that's what it felt like. Only for a few moments.
I get it.
And then once I sat up, it's like, right, okay. Oh, it's all good.
I am such a huge fan of what Monroe has done for the world, for humanity. It's big. And so the hemisync binaural beats is one frequency in one ear and a slightly different frequency in the other ear. Yeah. And you combine them.
Yeah, because it says you always have supposed to wear headphones or earbuds or something. Yeah.
So yeah, your brain coordinates it. It synchronizes the two hemispheres.
Right.
So that's hemisync for short.
Yeah. I know the left and the right side of the brain do two totally different things, don't they?
Yeah. And it brings them together, and you have what power you have. And so they have a lot of guided CDs. I love the guided ones because he talks you through all this. I still have stuff where Monroe's voice is there. He's been dead for a number of years, so this stuff's hard to find. It's beautiful to listen to him.
Yeah.
And lots of guided journeys, and they go all the way to focus. What am I going to say? From level 1 that we're at to level 35, which is the stratosphere.
Yeah.
It's out of this world.
Yeah, I think hopefully it won't be too long before I get there.
Oh, beautiful. You're going to have some trippy experiences.
I know, yeah, because you've got I was going to say, as you go up the levels, you get the more, like the psychedelic sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I thought I don't want to jump into them straight away and just completely mess my brain up more than it already is. I'll do it in a slow process.
Well, interestingly enough, at least the remote viewing trainer I've worked with and the system I've worked with, they have something called cool down music. You're supposed to listen to a half an hour before you go into a remote viewing session.
Right.
And it has what they call pink noise.
Yes.
The pink noise. So you've heard the pink noise, right?
Yeah, pink noise, white noise, blue noise,
brown noise. Yeah.
I think they're the only four that, because I used to listen to them before I found out about the neural beats when I was going to sleep, because there's a lot of traffic at the back of the house, so it'd cut that out. So especially with the white noise and brown noise, and somebody mentioned something about the pink noise. So I thought, right, I'm going to go for all the colours and let's see what other noises there are. So it's just, they're the ones that I found.
This, I hope your listeners' heads are exploding in a good way.
Oh yeah.
Because all this stuff surrounds us. My gosh, we can take advantage of any of it.
But do you not find though, like when you listen to like just the pure white noise, or even more so now the pink noise, that it cuts out every other sound that's going on in the background?
It does.
Then you don't even hear the pink noise. It just becomes part of the. I can't explain it.
It almost neutralizes noise.
Yeah. And then there's just no sound, but it's a good no sound. It's not like a dead no sound. I don't know if that makes sense, but I know what I mean.
It totally makes sense. I encourage you to continue, and your viewers and listeners, this is a fabulous road to go down. Hemisync, my God, it's great.
Yeah, no, I recommend it to absolutely everyone, and I wish I'd found out about it sooner. Probably, I think white noise I'd been listening to be about 2 years now, so not even that long. And then the other colours, I'd say within the last 12 to 18 months. And then like recently with all the neural beats, and then just going from there now.
Well, if people balk at this, there's truckloads of scientific evidence. This stuff works, and they use it in clinical settings all the time to help people.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I know what I'm listening to tonight when I go out of bed.
I got it.
Yeah, 100%. Right. So I'm just checking the questions.
Sure.
Right, so I'll do this one. This is from Rick Allen. So he wants to know, how does a person ascertain whether a regression expert can be trusted? So
I understand that question. There's a common misconception that a hypnotist or hypnotherapist, an accredited hypnotherapist, is going to lead you down the garden path.
Yeah.
They're going to suggest the entire experience that you have.
Yeah.
They're going to plant ideas and memories in you.
Yeah.
So that does not happen. Not with an accredited person like Lesley. It does not happen. So how do you know if you can trust the person? Check out their credentials.
Yeah.
I hate to be so scientific, but you want to do it. Check out to make sure they've got a diploma certificate, that they've actually been trained in this stuff.
They're not something they've bought off Wish.
No, it's like you go to the bar and you have a few pints, and it's like, you're coming with me.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
So check out their credentials, and you're going to also know if they should do this, if they do an assessment. I call it a triage. If they interview you, you want to spend an hour with them, at least this is what it took for me, filling out a form, to go through an assessment of your mental acuity, your capabilities, your characteristics. If you have any existing physical problems, if you have any existing mental or psychiatric problems, they're not going to take you on. They cannot. Okay? So Lesley would tell you that. Lesley would say, if you're better off talking to a psychiatrist, that's where you're going.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take you on. So there's credentials, there's the assessment. And certainly talk to them. And if that doesn't happen in the assessment, it should. You should at least discuss what was in the assessment.
Yeah.
Then they'll proceed with the first session. And I don't think any damage is going to happen, even if it's not a top practitioner in the first session, but you'll know because you remember everything.
Right.
You remember everything. And for instance, Lesley never says to me, there's an alien at the end of the hall and she's 8 foot tall.
Yeah.
Walk over to her and ask her how she's doing. That does not happen.
Yeah.
You know, what happens is she'll say, what do you see? What do you hear? What do you sense? And then she'll have questions. Oh, you see what you think is an alien being. What does it look like?
Yeah.
So she's not telling to me, it's a small gray thing that's going to pluck your guts out. You know, that does not happen. So I hope that helps Rick and anyone else that's thinking about it.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to type something because I'll forget if I don't.
No, please do.
I've done it. Yeah, I was just putting up normal questions because I just noticed the time.
No problems.
Right. So another one from Rick. Are Palladians a type of human? Do you know?
What I would say is we're compatible with them, and they're human-like, and they're full of emotion and inquisitiveness. You know, Barbara Marciniak, I think was her name, Marciniak, M-A-R-C-I-N-K, maybe. I don't have the book in front of me. She wrote a book that was based on channeling Palladians. And I have this book. I have 2 or 3 of her books. And I was shocked because I thought on every page they were speaking to me personally.
Right.
It took me a year to get through this book. I couldn't read more than 1 or 2 pages at a time. I had to process it.
Right.
I felt as if they were targeting me personally.
Yeah.
And you know, the funny thing is that's partly true. And I would say that to you, Andy. I'd say that to Rick. They are. If you're on that wavelength, they're speaking to you.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff. Mm-hmm.
No, I can imagine. Sorry. Next. So this is from Nickname. So the question is, can you regress and identify non-human past lives? And the next part is animals are beings not from Earth.
Right. And I'd say both Lesley and I could tackle that from a different perspective. My flat answer is yes.
Yeah.
I would also say or suggest there are many of, say, Nickname or yourself, Andy, many lives that are going on simultaneously that aren't all human either. So, you know, one show, if we get back to this, and I'd love to, would be that
definitely
we can talk about your other selves, and your other selves contribute to who and what you are right now. They have skills and talents and abilities you do not. And likewise, you feed back to them. But it's my understanding the answer would be yes to that question. And chances are a lot of us, I suspect myself, had non-human lives and incarnations.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Sure.
Right. I'll have to jump through these because we've only got a few minutes left. It's only because the networks that we're on Facebook, we can only go over by so many minutes. So
Gotcha.
we've got to be, bit of a pain, but it keeps us where we are. So this one's from Ancient Ruby. Where does most of your communication take place, Wes?
I'm gonna say to Ruby, I'm guessing they mean location.
Yeah. So where are you at the time that it's happening?
90% of the time in bed.
Yeah.
And then another 5% of the time, you were describing something earlier, Andy, where you're just sitting and you get zoned, you get into a theta state.
Out.
And then another 5% of the time, maybe not exactly, you're just taken out of space time. You don't actually go anywhere, but you're out there doing your thing and you just blank out.
Yeah.
And you and alien beings are in tune with one another, and you don't know what the heck is going on, except that something's happening.
Yeah.
And the communication, I would say to Ruby's, most likely a download.
Right.
Most likely you're going to have to process it later.
Yeah.
So I get those occasionally. It's like, okay, don't panic. It's just like, okay, people are looking at me and they're going to take me to the rubber room, but give me a couple of minutes because something's happening right now.
Yeah. Don't take me out. There's something going on.
Yeah, there's something happening here.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Another one from Ancient Ruby. How do you feel after your encounter and interactions?
It's a that depends answer. So generally accelerated because most of my experiences are positive and I learn stuff and I grow, and like healing, I became aware I was able to heal. And that's common. Apparently I didn't know it was common. I thought it was just me.
Yeah.
So accelerated, excited, the boundless non-limitations of the multiverse that we're in, or the omniverse, fantastic and incredible. I don't have enough time, even if I were to quit work and do nothing but think about this. I don't have enough time. There are two other brands of interactions, I would have to say. One has to do with the, to be polite, taking of biological material.
Right.
Not fun. Absolutely violation. They start out normal. They do not end up like that. And the other one is experimentation, of which I've been part of a few little things. I have, and I wrote about this in my second book, I think. I have 4 or 5 experiences that have to do with having things poked in my eyes.
Oh.
And it's like, is this physical? No, I woke up, my eyes were okay. But definitely I registered it. We register everything on the psychic and spirit level. We register everything in our emotions. So they're poking my eyes, putting things in my eyes, hooking me up to a machine that I had to look into that felt like it was pulling my eye out, blood coming out of my eyes. And then eventually, and I don't know if this was connected, if they're just getting me used to it, I had to have surgery on both eyes, which was fine, but conventional, not laser. So we don't want to go down that road. I don't want to tell you about this. You have to be awake when they do this. That's all I'm going to tell you.
I think I know someone that's had something either the same or similar. And the I won't.
Highly unpleasant.
Yeah, they do something with the eye that you wouldn't expect that they're going to do.
Highly unpleasant.
I know. That's the one, isn't it?
So I've gone through that a couple of times, and I don't know if these alien encounters were prepped for it or if they were fixing my eyes. And I would definitely give a high five and say they've fixed a couple of different things in me over the years, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. No, thank you. So after you've had these encounters and experiences, do you ever get the feeling that you don't want to be in your physical body anymore?
Oh, yeah.
Or that you don't belong and you need to be out? Yeah.
Constant theme of both my books and my whole life. You know, we could certainly expand on this at some point, but one of the words I highlight in my books literally with bold, and you're not supposed to do that. It's a book. But one of the things I highlight is the word home, with a capital H. So I would say to you and to your viewers and listeners, why are we always looking out there as if home wasn't here? And it's like, it's probably not here. You know, I think we were seeded, this planet, we're seeded, I think. And so a handful of my experiences, I just get an overwhelming feeling, like crying my eyes out feeling. I finally got home.
Right.
So that's a slightly longer answer to your question. Absolutely, I want to go home.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hurry it up.
No.
You know, when it's my time, it's my time.
Yeah, I was going to say it'll happen when it's meant to happen.
Yeah, it'll happen. That's in my destiny, whenever that is, and I don't want to divine the information. It's like, oh, 7 p.m. tonight. Damn.
Yeah. I'm
run to the pub.
Busy. Yeah, I've got to do stuff. Can we do it 8 o'clock tomorrow?
Yeah, we can't schedule this. We can't schedule our exit points, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Are we okay to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quick fire questions?
Yeah, we're really deep into it. Why not?
Right. So this is from Rick. Is there an alien type that is considered dangerous for the human species?
Many. The small grays, probably.
Yeah.
The little robotic items that might be humanoid, they might be android, they might be cyborg in nature. They're good at carrying out instructions.
Right.
I haven't been involved with them, but it's my understanding that you can yell and scream and do just about anything. They don't get it. So I'm going to say they're not very good. And there's a whole big argument out there in the field, and I'm not educated enough to comment on it very much, but the reptilians are supposed to be the bad guys.
Yeah.
But you'll talk to another 50% of the people who will say the reptilians have a bad rap. They're the good guys.
Right.
I'm not sure there's consensus on that. I've been involved with some of the bad guys. I don't know if they were reptilians, but these are people who have done experiments on me or on people I love. They're not the people that helped me, like helped me get through pneumonia once. So they're not those people. So but there's so many species. We said that earlier. 80, 85, 90, easy, maybe more.
That are known.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you. So this is from Stefan. Whereas, why do people in general only seem to remember or report having experienced a grey type above all the others? All these others, sorry.
Great question from Stefan. I'm gonna say, without knowing the answer, I'm gonna speculate a bit that one thing is they're outstanding because they're so shitty.
Yeah.
You know, they can be a lot of experience with the small grays are terrible experiences. I'm going to also say easy to remember. Maybe it'd be harder to describe a mantis.
Yeah.
Or a reptilian. And you know, the other thing I'd say is they mask your memories.
Right.
They are experts at this. I don't know if it's in your neurons or how they do it. If it's a thing of the brain, if it's chemical, but they mask your memories big time. Yeah. And so, you know, you see what you think is an owl. This is a common one, right?
Yeah.
And it's no owl. It's one of them. So probably easier for them to say, you see a bunch of little gray critters, and that's what you're going to remember, man. Maybe nothing else about it. Anyway, that's my 2 cents worth.
Yeah. No, thank you. Appreciate it. So I think you've kind of already answered this one. So this is from Rick. Is there an alien type that Wes think has hostile intent towards humans?
I wish I could name the very species, but I don't think I can. I'm not knowledgeable enough. It's easy enough to look up the species that are not just speculated, but that are here. There are a number that are already here. But there's, if you sort of expand this in a cosmic way, Lesley will talk about a galactic federation, which I tend to agree with. There's a federation that we have agreements with various alien races, that most of them that are surrounding us or with us, or even as hybrid presences here, are positive and meaningful and want us to expand our capability, our spirituality.
Yeah.
They are going toe to toe with the bad guys. They're always trying to stave them off.
Yeah.
If you read Dr. David Jacobs' stuff, you'll really get an earful of this.
Yeah.
I don't subscribe to that. I do not
Right.
subscribe to the ominous overtones. Yes, there are bad guys, and they've messed with me too. But I don't know if it's species specific. It could just be maybe there's one or two little grays that are nice, and the rest are real creepy. So even within a species, why couldn't that be true? It's just like us.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like us mammals, anything. You have good and bad in everything, don't you?
Yeah, you really do.
So, yeah, could be. Right, last two quick questions.
Sure.
Ancient Ruby, do you have sleep paralysis?
Yes, not as often as I used to. Going into a catatonic state, very unpleasant. It started happening to me in my teens.
Yeah.
And the very first time I thought I was dying. It's typical, and I'm sure the question asker knows this, right? You typically cannot move a thing.
No.
You can hear usually, and you can see. And it's like, oh, how pleasant, nightmarish is that? But it's true. So first time it happened to me, I had no bloody idea what was going on. And it took me several minutes of being in sheer panic to imagine I could move my little finger.
Yeah.
And finally, I was able to move my little finger, and then my wrist, and then my hand, and then fly out of bed. I was awake. This was not an unconscious experience. I was totally awake. So the catatonic experience, body paralysis, is not fun. And sometimes people that hang with people like me get it because they're shut off.
Right.
They're not intended to go through the experience, so they're shut down.
Right. Got you.
Creepy, right?
Just a little bit, yeah. Not my thing either, but
don't hang around me. That's all.
Well, let me know when you're going to come into the UK, and I'll go over to the US. No offense, but
yeah, I got it.
I'm good for all that. Right. So then, last question is from Stefan again. Have you video documented your sessions?
So, Stefan, we've digitally documented all my sessions, meaning to say audio recorded them.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an amazing thing. I wouldn't even listen to the damn things till recently.
Right.
I would not. And I don't know why. Anyway, I went back and listened to them. We videotaped some of them. There was a TV director, producer that was going to do a documentary, never got off the ground. But Lesley and I went in studio with him, and he recorded my entire session. And so that's not a pleasant thing to look at yourself, being somewhat semi-conscious. But so we've been filmed a couple of times doing this by professionals, maybe 3-4 times, and also in an amateur way. Nothing unusual showed up in any of the videos or in any of the audios, but the content of them, that's something to reckon with.
Ooh, very interesting. Yeah. So that's it. That's all the questions for tonight.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for sharing all this information that you've got, and even the private stuff that you've had going on and the personal connections and all that. Really do appreciate it.
We're people.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the more as everyone keeps saying, and I do as well, the more we share it, the more information that we're getting out there, I think the more people will come forward and tell us their part of the story.
I want that to happen. I really do. I want to say, take the first step, because it's going to go on anyway. So take the first step.
Yeah, I think it's that he said that it's that initial step, that initial like opening your mouth and saying something to someone.
Yes.
I think once you've done it, and then it gets easier the more you do it, I think. And then it's just finding the right people to talk to. I think that it's more that than anything else.
That's so, Andy. It may not be your family either.
No, definitely not my
Just
family.
saying.
No offense if they're watching, but no. Definitely not them. They're
my family was the last to know, actually.
Yeah. But I think if they watch these, and that's the only way they're going to find out. I've not shared hardly anything with any of them. So,
well, my gosh, I have one of my nieces understands this. She's skeptical. That's great. She's a skeptical little thing, and she's so smart. So she's been with me to some of the live conferences where I've spoken at, and we've sat together, and she finds it fascinating. And I think the reason is because, well, guess what? Sometimes this runs in the family. Yeah.
But it's just finding them members, isn't it?
You got to find a person you trust, best friend, partner, work buddy, doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's like I have said stuff to people, and it's like, that wasn't the right person to tell.
I know what you mean. Immediate reaction.
The correct way, but it's just learning process, isn't it? It's how it goes.
I've had people run in the opposite direction. They've generally asked me, "Oh, hey, are you all about this?" And I've straightforwardly said, "Yeah." And it's like, run away. Okay, fine.
No, but no, thank you so much for coming back on. Hopefully you'll come on again.
Love to. It's great. Comfortable. Thank you.
Yes, I'll just try and keep it as easy going as possible, and not be too formal, and have a laugh doing it, and don't want to be serious, do you?
Not totally.
Everywhere, so I avoid it like the plague. So
no, I got you. And this is I had to learn how to reconcile and live with this, and still have a sense of humor, for crying out loud. It's possible.
Yeah. Well, we're doing it. So
we're doing it.
So just quick update for the viewers. Tomorrow night, so I've got 2 channels. So I'll do one that's not paranormal. So tomorrow night, I think it's about 9 o'clock, doing Flying Solo with a special guest. Can't tell you who it is. You will find out if you watch live. And then on Friday night, I'm doing a live investigation at the local cemetery. That should be fun. I wasn't going to do it because I'm not thinking, but it's my birthday on Friday, so I wasn't going to do a stream on Friday because it was going to go out. But we're going out on the Saturday and then the weekend. So I'm going to do a live investigation on Friday, direct onto YouTube. So there'll be no intro or anything like that. Excuse me. And then I've just confirmed today that both Jessica Jones and Barry Littleton are going to be coming on together in April. So that should be a good one. So watch out for that. Have a great night, everyone. Are you okay to stay on till after we've come off air?
I'm good. Thank you, Andy.
Right. So we'll see you. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night. If not, Friday night for the live investigation. So take care, everyone, and see you soon.